Good morning, everybody. My name's Chris Rowan. I teach at Clares Court Junior Boys School. I teach music, ICT, maths and English, mainly to year 5, but anything from year 3 to 6. This is my colleague, Eric Lloydsinger. He's head of maths, teaches a year 6 class, bit of year 5, and he's head of pastoral care. So when I'm struggling, I go to him, you see. Okay, what we're going to do today is take you through a couple of tips and tricks that we've found work for us consistently well, and also some ideas which are now working successfully enough, so successfully, that they're now embedded in our curriculum, and we're coming back to them year on year. So just to begin with, flying through a couple of ideas. Whenever I do an English activity with my class, the first thing I ask them to do when they sign in and create a document is to share it with me. And that means that any time in the process that they're writing, I can put their work on the whiteboard, and I can use that to model good work to the rest of the class, hopefully, if it's good enough, maybe suggest a few improvements. But that's a great little tip, and it's one that's kind of standard practice for me now. Next one I've got down here is writing to the whiteboard from my desk. If I've got my laptop or Chromebook open here, and I'm signed into my Google account, and I've also got my Google account up on the whiteboard, of course, whatever I type here is going up on the whiteboard, and I don't lose sight of Fred, who's flicking paper darts across the room. Okay? So it's a good way. If you don't want to turn your back on the class, why not do that? Peer teaching and review. Just this week, my class have been completing some stories, and as they finished, I asked them to select a partner and to share their work, giving their partner commenting access, so that they could then review each other's work, highlight the areas which needed the full stops putting in, the capital letters, the spellings, and so on. And of course, as they're looking at their partner's work, it's sharpening them up about where their own work needs to improve too. Got down here, support beyond the classroom. Two things happening here. One, we have the kid who emails at 9 o'clock in the evening saying, "Sir, not sure how to do my work, what do I do?" And not only can I respond to that email, but I can also see his document and help him out with it. The other kind of kid we have is the one who's away in Denmark for a week because he's on a badminton competition. And while he's there, because he's so keen to share what he's doing, he decides to create a presentation and share it with me while he's in Denmark. And of course, the rest of the class can see that. Just a brilliant use of Google. Last one here, showcasing your work using sites. I'm going to hand over to Eric for this one.
Right. Am I on? Can you hear me? Yes, I'm on now. Okay. Sites. It's possibly one of the, for me, I found one of the most significant things that we've done in recent years is using sites, and we've used it a lot of the time. We have what's called our Ridgeway weblog, and I'll show you that in just a moment, which is a wonderful focal point for class resources. Have we got it up? There it is. And this is done in Google Sites, and it provides a almost a day book of things that are going on. Wonderful bits and pieces. I had an internet safety talk. I was able to place up some of the resources that we use in that as a day-to-day blog, if you like, of what's going on, a diary. It's been phenomenally useful in writing our CEF for, we're about to experience the I word, the inspection. Bring it on, I say. I think we're more than ready for it. But it's been wonderful to be able to go back. Where have we got evidence of this? This is on the blog. It's on the weblog. Where? Here it is. And so the inspectors, when they arrive, will be presented with link after link after link to evidence of things that we have done. All sorts of bits and pieces. I'll come back to warring Greeks in a little bit. But here it is on a day-to-day basis. We have separate areas that's for different classes. This is our charity collection that the school gets involved with. Last year, I had that as a totalizer. Every time the total went up, I was able to put up. And so the children were able to access it, the parents were able to access it, and anybody from outside who wanted to come and have a look at what we're doing in the schools. Huge motivational tool, huge day by day, and a great archive. Because not only that, year on year, Chris and other people put together, get the other pages, we archive the old pages. So if we want to look back over what we did, what did we do in 2011? Oh, we did this. This was good, and we'll repeat it. So that's sites. If I go back to our original slide, which is that one, isn't it, Chris?
Yep.
So a notice board, a celebration of achievement, a resource, a platform for fame. Yes, there are some children who seek that, and great. Good, you know, they like to see their pictures up there. Evidence for inspection, easy to update. Editorship is easily shared. You're an editor, I'm an editor. Our school librarian is a brilliant contributor to it. She's always doing bits and pieces that she comes into. Anyone else of the staff could be editors. We have one or two others. Easy to embed third-party apps. Yes, anything that you want to either embed a document from other Google apps or indeed other applications as well. Quite a good, useful way of repository for work that you might want to set. If you want to set homework, we have a snow plan at school. We don't get very many snow days, but there is a snow plan. And one of the snow plans that we have is that if the school is closed for whatever reason, then staff can upload something to the weblog. The children know where to go. How about going to do some work? You can set them some piece of work. I quite like them to actually go out in the snow and do things with the snow, but then record it. And then they're able to share that with us. Over to you.
Okay. Right. Some ideas that have worked for me, and we're putting them in the curriculum. Some have been in the curriculum now for a couple of years. First one here is some work on Halloween we did. This was their inspiration. It's a picture embedded in a presentation, which is then embedded into our school site. And we've also got a little bit of a soundtrack from YouTube, just to add to the effect, so the kids get in the mood for writing something Halloweenish. Now, the way we organized this was to put the pupils into groups around Chromebooks and ask them to come up with scary words that were suitable for a Halloween topic. And we asked them to put them on this Padlet. It's another great little free app. Again, this was on the whiteboard at the front of the class, and all they needed to do was double-click on the Padlet, put their name in. I can't spell Fred. There we go. And just write whatever words they wanted to write there. Brilliant little app. And once we'd got all those words together, we then created our writing on Halloween. Now, this app is actually called MoveNote. It allows you to take video and syncs with your Google Docs. It syncs with your presentations, so you can turn a presentation into slides and then have a video talking about those slides. Kids have loved using it. I'm not going to show you this one because I've got one later on that I'd like you to see. Little bit of maths work here. I simply shared a presentation with the entire group, asked them to work on one slide each, and we used the Google Drawing tool to create our triangles with all their different properties and then simply write about them. Now here's the move note that I wanted to show you. This was on the back of some English work, writing instructions. I'm going to let this lad, who is year 5, okay, 10 and 11-year-olds, talk about this himself. I'm just going to let this run for about 30 seconds or so.
Create an instructions document in Google Chrome, and I chose how to ruck over in rugby. Using Google Chrome to create this was very helpful. First of all, our teacher, Mr. Ohm, was able to send each of us a copy of last year's instructions document using Gmail. We looked through these to get some ideas. Mr. Rowan then set up a new folder for the class. He sent the folder to us using Gmail, so we could each set up a new document. We could work on our document at home and at school by logging into Google Chrome. Sometimes we were all logged in at the same time and chatting to each other. Using the chat tool, it was fun being able to see each other's work and being able to send each other's comments on how to improve. Unfortunately, Mr. Rowan could also do so Now we are using MoveNote to make this video. How cool is that? At the start of the lesson, Mr. Rowan...
And he wasn't prompted on any of that, by the way. I sent them away to just work on that script themselves, so I didn't tell him what to say. Next one I've got here is some work using spreadsheets. I emailed my form, my class, a Google form, and asked them to submit their choices for a McDonald's meal. Unfortunately, we couldn't get down to McDonald's, so they stayed in the virtual world. They didn't seem to mind too much. But of course, once the form has collected that information, it puts it into a spreadsheet, and you can get the summary of the results from it. You can see here that my class are all boys, because you can see that they choose large fries instead of carrot sticks. Okay? But following on from that little piece of work, they were able to download from the Google Templates gallery a template which had this information already on it, and it was their job to fill in the quantities and work out the formulae to eventually get the grand total for our meal. Maybe we'll have a go at that next term, getting down to McDonald's. The final one I want to show you is one of my favorites. This is 19 or 20 kids all collaborating on the same spreadsheet at the same time, collating a list of words to use in some poetry about monsters. I captured this on my PC in the class, just using some free video capture software off the net. I think you see the idea, and here's one of the examples of the poetry that came out of that. Back to you, Mr. Eric. There we go.
Okay. So, moving on, it's not just limited to the classroom. Trying to use some ideas outside of the classroom or in a more active way. Year 6 science, bit of maths. Trying to get them to correlate pulse rates and recovery rates and items like that. I won't go through the whole thing, but briefly what occurred is I shared with them a sheet in Google which simply had time intervals on it and the pulse rate that they were taking. They ran around the sports hall, took their pulse rates at the end of the exercise, recorded it on the Chromebook, took their pulse rates at various points during the exercise, and then at the end of which they were able to share all those things with them, with each other. The great thing that came out, this was with a slightly more able group, is we had discussions on trends. Now actually that's quite advanced. They're quite used to the idea of looking at their own data. That comment there that somebody had a pulse rate of 28 beats per minute, so I surmised that he was either in a coma or he was about to die. And that was what, you know, if you do science with children, they get it wrong. They don't take pulse rates well, they don't take the readings well. What was really great with this was to be able to bring this data together using Google Sheets, using the collaborative thing, and this was actually done by one of the guys. One of the boys put it together. He said, well, let's collect all the data together and then let's put this all into one chart. Of course, there you get a wonderful indication, exactly what you'd want to do. Bringing together trends in data, far more useful than single data sets. Where are we? Over here. We also have used Google Apps for Education an awful lot celebrating outdoor achievements. This is some work where the children did very quickly going through on their feelings after an event. Photographs were taken of them using one of these. These photographs were then shared with the children afterwards. There was an account that said portraits. They were under instructions to only go for their portrait, which they dragged into a page on a Google slideshow. This is young Sebastian. He liked to pull the string on the giant swing. It's a huge trapeze thing on this outdoor activity. Some of them, Duncan, yes, giant swim. George was screaming. There you are. It's a great way of celebrating, a great way of bringing things together. This is something that we do on the day after we come back from a residential field studies week. All with Google Sheets. All these children, there are, I think, something in the region of 50-odd children involved, boys and girls. Luke and Chester. Strange, lovely lad, actually barking mad. Kabir came second in aeroboard as well. So they really love bringing that all together. That's another use for it. And the last use, let's go back to my original show, is, you saw a picture of it earlier on, ancient Greeks. Not now. No, I know how to navigate, hang on. This is children doing some reenacting. No thanks, sorry. There we go. Reenacting ancient Greeks. And they went away over the Christmas holidays and made bits of equipment. And we had them in the playground reenacting ancient Greeks. They were taking photographs with tablets. Again, these items were shared with them. And then subsequently what they did is they all actually then rush home. And it's not often you actually find children, they want to get home to do the homework. No, you can't do it at school because you've got sport this afternoon. But sir, we want to do this. No, actually, go home and do it. And this was done last year. We have just done this again, actually. Unfortunately, this presentation had to be done before I got the photographs up. But this is young Toby, who went away, got his little photograph of it, of what we'd done. He'd been on the internet, found some other pictures, allowed to write his story, and got a huge amount for it. And it is the motivation, I think, that is one of the big things for us. We were discussing on the car on the way up about wet break times, and let's face it, we've had plenty of those recently. I cannot have enough Chromebooks in the school to satisfy with wet break time demand. And it's not that they all go onto sites with games. Some do, but so many of them go onto Google sites, Google apps, and they will be writing their own presentations, getting their own ideas up. I think that's our time. What Chris and I, rather than take questions now, I think what we'd possibly do is we're going to hang around and lurk for a while. By all means, please ask. Neither of us are IT experts. I found on the school development plan the other day that it said our specialist ICT teachers, Chris Rowan and Eric Leutzen. And I got quite annoyed about that because I said, I'm not a specialist teacher of ICT. I'm a maths teacher who likes to coach a bit of rugby and cricket as well. And I'm wandering around in the dark a little bit as it is. But I came into education late. I was in the industry. I was in the building industry and all sorts of other things. And I arrived, and when this Google thing came out, I thought, oh no, not another thing that we've got to look at. And actually, within a very, very short time, I thought, this is brilliant. Not only is it useful for the children, and please, by all means, talk to me about how I find it helps my teaching. From a personal administration point of view, it's a fantastic thing, and I wish it had been around years ago.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening.